Hello everyone, welcome MTL Sports here on episode 167. Got a lot of NBA news to go over. Of course, Game 5 was this past night. We'll talk about that. We'll go over the Desmond Bane trade. Kind of a shocker trade. We kind of hinted at it. A couple months ago, we said Desmond Bane might be the one to get moved, and look at it. He's finally got moved to the Magic of all places. So we'll talk about that trade. We still got some KD drama to go over, and then we might sprinkle in some DC Defenders winning the UFL championship. So, with all that being said, guys, stay tuned. Let's get into this. Let's start with the biggest news out this weekend, other than Kevin Durant. Desmond Bane, a trade that we said might go down. We didn't know exactly when, but the Magic of all teams who desperately need shooting, they trade for Desmond Bane. It's quite a haul. If you look at it, 4 picks, KCP, and I think Cole Anthony is the last piece of that. In a first round pick swap. So I think the Magic sent their 16th pick, the 2026 Phoenix pick, and then Magic's 2028 and 2030 picks unprotected. How do we feel, Lawrence? Do you think how would you grade each side? How would you grade Memphis and how would you grade the Magic?
Personally,
and
for
does
me,
this
I
make
think it
Magic
makes the Magic
contenders in the East?
Quite the contender. I feel like they're really going to be regular season, I wouldn't say powerhouses, but they're just going to do regular season wise pretty well, which I feel like, I think can give them like a nice little path to playoffs, top 3, top 4 in the East. I feel personally like that is very achievable because one of the things they desperately needed was an offensive threat that was going to go out there and provide 20 no matter what, pretty much, and then give me defensive hustle, which is exactly what they're going to get. And that was the one weakness that they were struggling in, was having a consistent offensive threat outside of Pacheco and what is it? One of the German. So yes, so we know exactly what we're solving.
Franz Wagner.
I think that's the price was a little steep. I do give it that. 4 first is a lot. This quick swap you could have done maybe with or without. But like at the end of the day, some of those first round picks, I think 2 of them were not even until 2030 past. So if you win me a title in 4 years, I automatically don't care about those picks anymore. This is one of those things.
Yeah, I got you. The picks, I think if you look at it picks wise, it's a little bit of an overpay. I would have kept that Phoenix pick personally. I would have kept that pick, and then I probably would have gave them my own 26 first rounder. But I think other than that, 3 to 4 picks, you got to understand. Wendy on ESPN was kind of breaking it down that they're kind of including like an extra pick for KCP because KCP is kind of like a negative asset right now because the contract that they signed him to last year, which we kind of thought was a little puzzling because they went for more defense instead of offense. That contract didn't turn out too well. KCP was hurt throughout the year, didn't really produce all that well, so that's kind of a negative asset. So you gotta attach a first to that. So Desmond Bane really is only worth about 2 to 3 first round picks, and if you pay 3, you're kind of overpaying in a lot of people's eyes, including myself. So from that standpoint, it is overpaid, but fit wise, it's great. They need scoring. You can't always have Paulo and Franz carrying the scoring load. Like no one else on the team can really produce points at a high clip. So Desmond Bane, he's a very efficient 3-point shooter. I think he's like 41% career. He can get you 19 to 20 per game. That's his usual. And he can ball handle. He can facilitate too. So you got a lot of things that Bane can do at the 2 guard. And honestly, you really only need to I mean, you got Jalen Suggs, so it's not like you got to go out and find yourself a point guard. Like you already got one. So I think the Magic are doing pretty good for themselves. They're definitely a top five team, probably top four right now, but maybe with some moves this offseason, they'll be a top five. Honestly, I think they're like a center away. If they get like a competent center, like Wendell Carter, it's not really competent. He's like just good enough, and same with Jonathan Isaac, like just good enough. If they can get like an upgrade there, they'll definitely be in that mix for top three. So I give them an A, and I mean when we look at it from the Grizzlies standpoint, yeah, I give them an A too, just because I mean you got four first round picks, you got literally two picks in the next 2 years, this year and then potentially Phoenix pick next year, which is going to be a lottery pick because they're kind of selling the house right now. What would you think about Memphis in this trade, Lawrence? You give them an A. What's their grade, and how do they go from here? Do they look to trade Ja? Do they look to trade Triple J, or do
They're
they
going
look
to take
to
those
take
picks and
these
give
four
themselves
picks
a
and
third guy.
go get them
I think they're going to get
a
themselves
third guy?
I wouldn't say a defensive, um, I wouldn't say enforcer, but I do believe that like when they had Marcus Smart on there, like that was probably exactly what you needed, and they
Mm-hmm.
did work out well for a short period of time. They just probably need like yeah, let's just let's just let's just put a little bit more money into it and like solve the root of what we need and want in a player that's going to play this position. And like you don't need exactly like a Bane Esh player. You just need someone who's going to hit timely shots when Ja gets in the ball. Um, I want to say just better IQ plays, but in terms of like, we're gonna go for a guy who's like 30 plus years old. Um, he's gonna get us out of jams, sort of player. Bane, he's more of the I'm gonna get you the points that you need while also trying to battle Ja and doing the same things Ja's gonna do. So again, I still think Memphis did the correct thing, and I feel like you can take two or three of those picks and get yourself something really good to put in that place, and really take no steps off. And then you also got the assets of, well, if KCP comes back and you can just shoot twos and threes, well, he might not be the worst thing in the world, or we can just simply let him walk.
Yeah, you can let them walk too. Um, yeah, I mean, Memphis. I think you try to go get another guy. I think the big issue right now is trying to re-sign Jaren Jackson to extension. So I think right now, just because they don't have they have cap space, but it's not enough to like when they go to renegotiate his contract. I don't think it'll add up to if he just waits another year, hits free agency, and then like any team that offers him a deal would be equal to what he could get right now from Memphis. So they're kind of in a little situation right there. But they definitely should explore the idea. I don't think you break up Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr. just yet. We talked about it before. Like one of the guys needed to go. We don't necessarily need to blow the whole thing up. We think it's a decent core. Personally, right now, I think they're just like a wing away. And like you said, they probably need like a veteran wing. I don't know who that would be. Um, but I mean, you got four first round picks to play with. I mean, maybe make a swing. If it doesn't work, you still got some ammo to make another swing. Um, I'm trying to think of people off the top of my head. I can't. I mean, I want to say Paul George, but it's a little bit too rich for them. It's a little bit too old. Um, maybe you go get. I don't know. Brandon Ingram just signed with Raptors. I'm not. I don't think that would work. Um, who's a wing they could use? Who is a wing they could use? Um, I don't know. That's a question for another day. But they definitely need another wing to be in that starting lineup. Kind of solidify things. I say you give another year or two, and if in another year or two Memphis is still in the same spot, then you probably look at trading Jaw, probably before his next extension, because you don't want to pay. You don't want two guys on supermax, and it's proven that they can't get past the first round. Like that's pretty insane. So I think we give this another year or two, and
Yeah,
then
I think that's
revisit
good.
the
Exactly a
conversation
good
once
point.
Jaw is up for a supermax. Um, Next up, let's go over Game Five. Then we go into the KD drama.
Second
Game
quarter,
Five, Tyrese got hurt. I think what in the some. I think it was sometime in the second quarter. And it came out today. He has a strained calf. He said if he can walk, he's going to play Game Six. We'll see about it. A lot of people were kind of saying like, "Oh, he should have took himself out and he shouldn't have played the rest of the game." Like, bro, he's running off adrenaline. Like, he's fine. It's gonna suck the next day, but like, you can't just like, for lack of a better term, pussy out in the crucial Game Five just because you pulled your calf. Like, you can't do that. You're the leader of the team, bro. Like, we can't have that happen. And I don't think Rick Carlisle would have let that happen. So, what are your thoughts about
I
Game
don't
Five,
think they can
Lawrence?
extend it. I think it's.
And do you
I
think
mean, I
the
thought it was
Pacers
in
can
game
extend the
five.
series?
They got one extra than I thought they were. I just think that the series really just comes down to whether or not the Thunder play well. I think you might have been the one that alluded to that. But if the Thunder play well, it's over. It's a wrap. It's not even a game. The Pacers have to do everything in their might every time they want to win.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they made a little comeback in the third quarter. Um, and then even going into the fourth, I think they cut it down to as close as two or three, right? And then for the Thunder, it's crazy. They're so young, but they're so dominant. It reminds me of kind of like the Heatles, where they can just flip a switch and just like they're a whole different team. And I think that's what's going on with the Thunder. Um, this team opposed to last year's team. Like last year's team, they were just young and they didn't really have that dominance. And then this year, you're like, wow, like some games, bro, they just like flip a switch and then they just lock you down. They causing turnovers like every other possession. Won't let you get past half court, getting steals and stuff like that. Getting steals on the inbounds. Like it's just crazy. They're wrecking havoc. So, um, yeah, I'm not seeing a game six. I don't see it going past game six. I had a Thunder winning in six, especially with Tyrese. Um, with the injury. I don't think he'll be able to move too well next game. So unless like Siakam and Ben Mathurin have like 40 points between the both of them, I don't see this going past 6 games. So
This is
um,
fair.
it sucks to suck, but somebody has to win this damn thing. Um, Now back to uh, last NBA topic. Kevin Durant. I don't think we talked about this
Yes,
since
because you were
last
really pushing
episode or
towards the
two
Spurs.
or three episodes ago. We talked about Kevin Durant trade. Now, um, now it's come out that he prefers Miami, Rockets, or Spurs, and then I think it even came out that he actually prefers the Spurs but wouldn't mind the other two. Basically, he wants to be in a no state income tax team besides Dallas. Um, And it looks like the Suns just aren't budging. I think part of that's because of their owner. He's a little delusional. Um, and he thinks he's just one of the best owners ever, but that's not the case, right? So, out of those three preferred destinations, Lawrence, which one do you think is the best fit? I know we kind of talked about this already, but have you changed your mind about the best fit? And how do you think how long do you think this
I think
Katie
it
watch
probably lingers
continues?
into
Does
the
it happen
summer.
before the draft, or
I feel
does
like this is
this
something
linger
that
into the
that
summer?
owner. I don't want to say based on what we've seen so far of him, but we know relative of him of what he really wants to push his agenda, and he wants everyone on his page with his time. I would say it probably goes post draft, like it's gonna be after the draft. Next, I personally like the Rockets the best for him. Now, what the Rockets have to compensate for that to get him might be too much than they're willing to give because I feel like in that scenario, they're going to want one of the Rockets' younger talents. But I think that would give the Rockets a really good outside shooting presence. And honestly, just like so many of those games in which all they needed was a timely bucket, or I would say just someone with a little bit more experience to step up and just take over a scoring role or a guiding role that they just lack and didn't have. But also, again, him on San Antonio really doesn't have to do much defensive work because Wimby's just such an aid right there. Um, and offensively, again, you got Wimby and Fox. I feel like Durant easily can work around Fox, and Wimby just kind of can complement any piece that's not a. I just want to say like your typical bruiser center type.
Yeah, I still like the Spurs. Now that I think about it, I don't like them the most anymore. I think the best fit's probably honestly the best fit's probably in Miami. I'm not saying that just because I'm a fan. I mean, I think when you look at it, the Spurs they just have so much that the Suns is going to want a lot of that stuff. And so far, it looks like the Spurs just haven't really given much up besides like the 14th pick and like Harrison Barnes. So if I'm the Suns, I don't want that. And when we look to the Rockets, it looks like the Rockets basically offered Jalen Green in the 10th pick, but it looks like the Suns want like Eason and probably another player, probably I don't know, maybe Cam Whitmore or uh, another maybe Reed Shepard or maybe throw in another draft pick. I know they want one of their draft picks back. And I know if you're the Rockets, you're not giving the Suns back your pick
Mm-hmm.
because you know the Suns are gonna be bad. If you withhold it, they're gonna still be bad. So that's not good. That's not good NBA practice. So I think for those reasons, the Rockets are kind of out of it, unless they just like say screw it, like we don't care. Um, but I think they're still holding out hope for Giannis. Same with the Spurs. I think those two teams just have so much that they're holding hope that Giannis asks out at some point in the next year. And then you look at Miami. You're in the East, so it's wide open, and you know the players that are going out don't really play anyway. You look at a combination of Duncan, Scary Terry, maybe Wiggins, and then a young player like Hawkes or Jovic. Um, they don't really play too much, but they still could be useful to the Suns. And then two of those guys are contracts in, so gives them a little bit of cap savings. So it makes sense. And then Hero, Bam, and KD, like you can't tell me that team can't be at least a top four, top five team in the East. And we've seen the Pacers; they were what, a sixth seed? They were in the NBA Finals. We've seen Miami make it as an eighth seed. So at the very least, they could be contenders in the Eastern Conference. Not saying they'll win the whole thing. They're still probably a move or two away from actually being able to beat the Thunder. But if your whole goal is just to get to the NBA Finals again, I don't see why not. And then there's like wild card teams. I don't know how you feel about the Raptors, Lawrence, or the Clippers. They've been in the Timberwolves, I guess, or another
For me, the
team that
Clippers part,
have been active. How do
I
you
just
feel
don't
about those
see it
three teams?
working because we're asking Harden and KD to get back together, and I don't know. I just feel like that duo didn't really. Ever since the Thunder days, that duo just it didn't pan. Let's just say that's the best way. Um, for reasons like that, I don't know. I feel like there might be a team that maybe the owner for the Suns gets quite spiteful and sends them to somewhere that, like you said, a wild card that we're not even looking into. Like we could be set up for a Memphis just sends everything that it's got and picks up KD because they add another first round pick, um, some pieces that they have just at their ready disposal, and just get a KD swoop up and well, KD's not really going to say no because you get to play with Ja and JJ. Another team is like
Yeah,
Detroit.
I
They
think
have enough young
that's
talent
a
where
good
you can
point. Maybe he's just a
give up
rental,
some of the picks
but
that you've
if you're a rent,
gathered and
maybe
garnered, and you can give up some. I would just say mid-end talent, but these are just wild cards, wild shots in the dark teams.
Detroit's still a good team. Another good team. I think they could make a move if they wanted to. Let's wrap up with our defenders. They won the UFL championship on, I think it was Saturday night, right? It's the same night as UFC Fight Night. I don't know if you caught most of the game, Lawrence, but it was a good game for, I would say, the first half. They were going back and forth in the first quarter, and then DC kind of broke out in the second quarter. I mean, Tamu played very, very well. Um, Number 12, I keep forgetting this guy's name on the defenders, but number 12 is spectacular. I mean, all the receivers for the defenders are really good. Like I don't see a scenario where these guys don't get some like a camp invite to a couple NFL teams. I mean, they were making some pretty good catches, and Tiamu was throwing some bombs. Um, and then defensively, I mean, we know defenders are one of the best defensive teams in the UFL. Michigan, not so much. I know their pass defense is probably, I think they're like dead last. I think it's like the number one passing offense versus the like the worst passing defense. So, um, don't really know why the defenders
It
were
was also
plus money on the money line, but
well, the reason
it was good to
defenders were
me.
plus money
What
is
do you think about the game, Lawrence?
the Panthers had beaten them during the regular season pretty substantially, and what the Panthers did well was run the ball all season, and the defenders were, I think, the second worst rush defense. So the defenders really just stepped up their game in terms of the rushing game, defeating it, because Bryce Perkins for the Panthers was really just good all season at running the ball and then letting his arm do enough. Whereas Teamu was just slinging it and just outplaying all the other quarterbacks as a quarterback. Not too much running of the ball. Teamu still will. And I think it really came down to the fact that like Teamu got snubbed from MVP and they gave it to Bryce Perkins. I think that was like deep. I think all of the defenders were a little bit
Yep.
shocked and really had something to play for Teamu. And honestly, it was a good game up until about halfway through the second quarter. That's when it started changing. And then right before halftime, I think there was like 2 minutes left. They were only up, I think, 10 points, 7 points. And it was just a blitzkrieg of points scored.
Yeah, I mean, they were just kicking ass. I mean, I never thought the defenders had that in them, that type of performance. But pitting up, I think this is like the second or third game that teams put up 50, and it's the first time in a championship game. So, it was an ass whooping. It was getting a little exciting at the end when the Panthers like didn't they convert like twice on 4th and 12 and scored. It was getting a little interesting in the fourth quarter, but defenders held on and won. Like you said, Tiamu, you could tell the whole team was pissed, but definitely him. Like he was making throws like routinely, like we talked about either Tiamu spot on or
Yeah,
he's
I mean, I
way
agree.
to the left or way to the right. But I would
Mm.
say like 90% of his throws were on the money. He
Losing
didn't seem
connection right
panicked,
at the
didn't seem
last moment,
rushed.
huh?
This is
Connection.
the Tiamu that we needed all year, and he pulled through at the end. Do you think he'll get a camp invite too? Maybe, maybe not. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I had for today's episode. Anything else before we head on out?
Can you hear me? No.
All right. Well, MTL Sports guys, episode 167. We'll catch you guys hopefully later this week. I thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify, all that good stuff. And we're going to head on out. Peace.